So today's the day I'm gonna take this window out and I'm gonna throw this thing in there and I'm gonna try and get the AC in there and everything finished up. At least there may be a few touch-up things I'm not able to finish up completely, but I want to get most of that in there. The window out and the AC unit fully in there. I don't know how motivated I'm feeling about this right now. I don't know how confident I am, but I don't have much of a choice. And so we'll see how I'm doing here in like an hour or so. Okay, so I got the window out, but I realized there is this black rubbery piece that's between the window and the metal. It's actually coming off up here. So it's removable, and I know this is part of like the system for the window, right? This thing would be sealed in. There's like a groove here which you would put like your butyl tape or sealant into to get a nice seal, but I just don't know if I should take this off and just put the plywood against the bare metal or leave this on and have the plywood up against this. So now I have to try and figure that out. It would bring the plywood out to close to where the metal is. It's that thick, whereas this is probably the same thickness as the plywood. I'm gonna have to give this some thought and see if I can figure out which way would be better. Okay, so that rubber was cracked in at least one spot and it was peeling off of the metal in some other spots, which means I would have had to take it off and like reseal it anyway. So I just took it off and I'm just gonna go without. I think that's the way to do it. And so I'm gonna clean up all this stuff, get this down to just metal, and then figure out what the next step is after that. Okay, so I got most of the stuff off. I just need to go and clean it up. I just used a Scotty peeler. It's made out of plastic, and that just got most of it off, but some of this stuff is just smeared on. So I'm gonna go ahead and try some alcohol and just a rag, see if I can get this down to just white paint, and then that should be ready for the next step of, I guess, putting the sealant on and installing the plywood. One time when I was in Las Vegas, this back window got broken out. Just some punk kids that thought they were gonna come in the van and like grab whatever they're gonna grab, and like I was in the van too at the time, so I chased them out, but like I had to replace this window, and I don't know what the guy used or what he did, but he just put a shitload of black, some sort of adhesive sealant on here. He didn't use butyl tape, that's for sure. So hopefully I can get this stuff off of here, but I'm not 100% confident. It's just kind of smeared on there, but let me go ahead and see if the alcohol will do something to this. Okay, so I've only got like a few hours of daylight left, and I've got some light that I can use if the sun goes down, but man, I've only got like, I don't know, 4.5 hours left till I can have to leave this storage unit anyways. But I've got most of this all cleaned off pretty good, and there's just a few little spots, and I don't think this is going to matter. This is so far down at the edge. Most of this is clean, and even just if this, like a little bit's not going to be a big deal. Ironically, I found that this stuff came off the easiest with just a dry rag. You know, the alcohol did some, but for some of this stuff it didn't work, so just a dry rag with that extra friction got most of the rest of this stuff off. I do have some like goo gone or something, but of course it's not here. It's at my other storage unit, which is pretty typical. When you need something, you either can't find it or it's not where you are. So I think what I'm going to do now, I think I'm just going to use, there's 3 holes on the top here, 2 holes on each side, and 2 holes on the bottom. So I'll probably just go with the 3 holes on the top. Maybe I'll drill 1 more hole. It looks like there's an indentation where it's supposed to be. So maybe I'll just drill out here. I'll drill one in the middle here, and maybe I'll find a spot here somewhere in the middle. I mean, I can see the spots for them, but I don't know, maybe I'll drill one in the middle, or maybe I'll drill these 2 spots out here But anyways, those are the screw points that I'm going to use. So the next thing I'm going to do is just put some, let's see if I can find this here. So I'm going to use this Psycha Pro construction adhesive, and this is going to be, and I've also got just some regular silicone type material for sealant, but this is going to be for sealant and adhesive. And I think this stuff is supposed to be pretty strong. So I'm going to put a bead of this all the way around the metal, and then I'm going to put this in. And I did kind of place that up in here, and it looks like it's going to be a pretty good fit. Like, it doesn't look like it'll fit. It looks like it'll be too tall. But once you bend it in like this, you lose some of the distance of, the height, and so it actually fits pretty good inside here. I'm going to test it again, because if I put the bead of this stuff on here and this doesn't fit and I have to pull it out and trim it, then that's going to be kind of a disaster. So I want to make sure it fits. Maybe I should just screw it into place first. Maybe I'll try that just to double check so that the curvature is there, and if it fits, and I'll take it off and then I'll put the adhesive on there. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. Okay, so I basically have 3.5 hours. This thing is now cut to where if I put it in here and like if I bend it in, it'll fit flush. So the problem I was having is it looked like it fit, but in between the wood and the metal, you would see like a gap. And so there's still going to be some gaps, but I've cleaned out most of those to where most of it will fit, and I think the sealant stuff will take care of any other gaps. So now this is kind of the point of no return, because I have like 3 hours left. So if I put the adhesive on here and I put this window in and screw it down, then it's there and it's stuck there, and then I got to put that in there and get that to fit, and I'm not 100% sure how that's going to attach completely, because if this doesn't get done and I run out of time and I have to leave this storage unit, then I've got either this thing in there with a giant hole, or the other option is I would have to put the old window back in, just for tonight, and then come back tomorrow and finish. So I think I'm going to go for it, because I've got 3 hours. That can go by really fast, but at the same time, I think that'll be enough, because all I have to do is, so I put the adhesive around here, screw this thing in, and then fit this thing in there and just secure it. It doesn't have to be perfectly sealed. I can do all that stuff tomorrow, but as long as it's kind of in there, I honestly have no idea how this is gonna fit in there and stay secured, but as long as I can do that, then I should be okay for the night. I did have to, 2 edges of this I trimmed, so I've got bare wood, and it's just gonna have to stay like that. I'm gonna put some sealant over it, and hopefully that'll just keep the weather out. At this point, what am I going to do? Just repaint it and wait for another 2 days? Like, I'm not going to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and get the caulk gun out, put a bead around this, and screw that thing into place, and then see if I can throw that thing in there. Okay, so this fit is definitely a little tight, so it does change the dimensions once the wood bends, so this hole gets a little bit smaller, and so I just barely got those two bottom feet through the gap. Like, I had to hammer it. And so I don't know. There's still a little bit of a gap right here. So that'll have to be sealed up somehow. And I'm not sure how much wiggle room I have to readjust this, to be honest, because it's not, if anything, it's leaning down a little bit, and I want it leaning a little bit back. And I don't know if I can do that just without readjusting the size of the hole. Almost looks like it's sitting this way a little bit, but I don't think anyone's gonna get a level out and measure my work, so it's probably gonna be okay. And it definitely, the way I figured this, it was going to stick in a lot farther. So some of these vents right here were going to be covered. So this needs to go in quite a bit more. I just don't know. It's such a tight fit right now. I don't know if I can do that without retrimming the wood. So let me start hammering on this thing some more and see if I can get a little bit further in there. Okay, so where am I at? I've got one screw holding this thing in right there, which goes through the piece that comes with the air conditioner into the plywood behind it, and that's it. That's the only thing holding that thing in place. And the thing is I'm just getting low on time, and I don't even know, like, I don't know if this is the right level I want. Right now it's pretty level, but I may want it to be like angled down just a little bit more, so which means I would have to trim some more off the top. I'm also not sure how exactly I'm going to brace this in, and that's going to take more, I know it's going to take a lot more hours than what I have here. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and I'm going to drive very slowly back to my destination. And then tomorrow morning I'm going to drive very slowly back here and finish this up. The one good thing is that this plywood went in pretty good without giving me too much trouble. I mean, I did have to trim quite a bit off a couple of edges. I think the idea here is, if you're going to do this, just be prepared to, like, you know, trim and retrim like 1,000 times until you get it just right. But now it's in there. All of it looks like it's pretty sealed with this construction adhesive, and I'll go back around later, you know, with some regular silicone on the outside, and I'll get, like, you know, the cracks in between the window or the plywood, like this kind of stuff, and I'll go around these screws, which I'll cut off tomorrow, and then put some silicone over that stuff, as well as the edges of this. I don't know what I'm going to do on the outside, but for sure I need to find a way to brace this thing from the inside on all different angles, and I got a few different ideas of what I could do, but I just don't know for sure, and I just am running out of time. So I think this will be okay until tomorrow. So this is how it stays.